ready? Positive, think positive, we're being positive. Spotmatic SP2. So of course a Honeywell Pentax Spotmatic offering. This also reminds me I need to screw this back on, because I tend to forget to do that from time to time, because this is one of the only cameras that to remove the top, you have to do that. Although I will say, the alternative to something like this is either the side screws, which is fine, or the front screw, which the Minolta SRT 101, 201, 102, 100, 200, 202, not the 202, that is something different. Anyway, all of those have a front screw, which is of course covered by that little like red sticker. Terrible screw, terrible sticker, don't want to deal with it. Much rather deal with this. Honestly, that's one of the things that causes me pause when working on SRTs is that screw. It's the dumbest thing, but like, I hate it so much. So, what about this camera is so special? One, it's not my camera, so that is immediately a huge bonus. Two, I'm joking, of course. It's got everything you need. M42 mount, it has a self-timer, it has 2 flash sync ports, also has a hot shoe, which is kind of rare-ish in the Pentax, early Pentax Spotmatic line, as well as the Pentax SLR M42 mount line as well. As we can tell by this is the S1, which is the last Pentax SLR before they transitioned over to the Spotmatic line. Beautiful camera. This is one of my favorite looking cameras of all time. I do think that the S3, although I have the H3 because I'm pretty cool, but I think the H3 is the best. It's the original, has the higher shutter speeds, and overall just hits the spot. But this still is a gorgeous camera, and I got it for 25 smackers. We're gonna speed run this video because I don't have much battery left on the camera. But things I really like about this camera, the formatting here for the memo slot I think is fantastic. You can transition the different flash points from shoe contact to flash point at the front, which I think is fantastic. You can also adjust what film you're shooting in here, the amount of exposures. I think that's super helpful. You've got all of the clean operations here, as well as one of the best advanced levers of all time. Very ergonomic, it has the nice grip there, but it still manages to remain flush. Pop it out with your thumb just like that. Fantastic, can't go wrong. Self-timer on here, I'm not a big fan of this lever, I will be honest. But I will say that overall the design is matching with the overall system, which is nice. Housing for the shut button I think is really nice as well. Overall viewfinder, very clean, very simple. The one thing that I don't really like about the Spotmatics is the light meter switch. You need to press this in to fully activate the light meter, but at the end of the day, that's not a huge qualm, that is kind of what it is. The other major issue I have with it is the battery compartments here, which one, the battery that this uses is very expensive in terms of batteries, and also they corroded very easily back in the day because they were mercury batteries, and I made a whole rant about that. You can check that out up there. But basically people would leave it in, I'd imagine, over time because they would think that the battery was fine, and then the mercury battery would fall off very heavily as opposed to more gradually, like something like an alkaline or any of the other nickel cadmium batteries that we use currently. So that's a problem. These would get corroded and rust over very easily, and it's just always difficult to get to. So that's kind of another issue I have with it. But overall, in terms of just functionality, I don't even use the light meter on my Spotmatics. I just have the Spot Meter app on my phone that I use all the time, and that seems to do the trick. Because at the end of the day, the circuit in this is goofy simple. So I don't really fully rely upon it, but it is nice to have if you absolutely need it. Overall though, this is just a good camera. It's not like the best camera, I would say, but in terms of just a basic standard camera, just to learn the functionality of how a camera works, how all the exposure triangle can affect your images, all of the mechanical understandings of the camera, this is the place to start. A Spotmatic SP2, SP1, SPF even. Any of these Spotmatics I think are fantastic. I will say this has much better leatherette than the SPF. I've never really been a big fan of the SPF leatherette. I know that's like very, very nitpicky, but that's my opinion and I stand by it. Stupidest opinion around. But this just feels like a really good, well-built camera, and it's still pretty small in the hand. Not as small as the S1 or the S3, but still relatively good size. It's basically a K1000, but with an M42 mount. Now the SPF is legitimately a K1000 with the M42 mount, but this still, in terms of functionality, it's that, also has a self-timer. So if you're into that kind of thing, more power to you. I think this camera's great, big fan of it, and I just wanted to give it some props because I often talk about how expensive things are getting, but these Spotmatics are staying pretty low in price. So if you are in need of a 35mm SLR, I would heavily recommend looking into some of these. The glass on these is usually pretty affordable and pretty high quality. So don't be sleeping on the M42, don't be sleeping on these Spotmatics. I hope this helps. I've got a few pretty cool videos planned with them, I think. So I'm hoping to get those worked on, rolled out relatively soon. So make sure to subscribe so you don't miss it. Like the video if you enjoyed it. Comment below if you have a Spotmatic. Have you shot with it? Which one do you have? When did you get it? And tell me some things you like or dislike about it. Not only for me, because I like reading your comments, but for people that are watching this looking into getting a camera. Let them know how you think, because my opinion's not the only one. I want to hear other people's opinions. So cool. Thank you very much. Appreciate it as always. I'll catch you on the next one.